Hello and welcome to My Consultant. In today's episode, we'll keep you up to date on the considerations behind the vaccine mandate. We'll share the news on the new online Refugee Claims portal. Next, we'll explain what the urge is behind the undocumented migrants in Canada. Stay tuned as I break down what to expect once your permanent resident application has been approved. And Tina will bring to light the updating NOC system.
Traveling to Canada might just get easier. The federal government is considering ending the vaccination mandate at the borders as well as eliminating the random testing requirements. As per the report by Toronto Star, the Prime Minister and his cabinet would be making a decision on this very soon. Also, several sources have confirmed that the ArriveCan app may no longer be required. Unvaccinated Canadians would no longer require to pay fines of up to $5,000 in case they are not able to show proof of a negative test of COVID-19. In addition, they would no longer require to quarantine themselves for 14 days. Over the summer, many travelers have shared that they were very much frustrated by the extra burden of uploading their proof of vaccination, their travel details, and their quarantine plans into the mandatory ArriveCan app. Now, with pressure increasing to eliminate the rules, the government is preparing itself to put an end to this divisive chapter.
Starting on September 13th, 2022, individuals wishing to make a refugee claim in Canada can now do so online through the new e-app. The new online asylum application is replacing the Canadian Refugee Protection Portal, or the CRPP. The new e-app has become the primary way for individuals in Canada to make a refugee claim and is only available to those in the country. Through this secure platform, officers are able to communicate directly with their clients or their legal representative, and claimants have the ability to check their status of their application online. Anyone wishing to make an in-Canada claim for refugee protection can submit their documents and those of their family if they are already in Canada. Applicants will have 90 days to submit their application. For privacy reasons, if your application has been opened and not submitted within 90 days, it will be deleted. Please note, individuals who started a claim in the CRPP on or before September 12, 2022 and have not yet submitted it have until December 31st, 2022 to do so. Individuals requiring accommodations may still make a paper claim. Requests for accommodations will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. The new e-app is a part of the continued work to strengthen the Canadian immigration system.
Thousands of migrants and their supporters are urging the Canadian government to grant permanent residency to undocumented people. According to IRCC, as of today, 500,000 undocumented residents live in Canada. Most of them end up doing exploitative jobs in construction, cleaning, caregiving, and agriculture. In case you are wondering, who are these undocumented residents? Well, they are the migrants who entered Canada on temporary work visa, study permit, or as refugees, but were not able to attain permanent residency due to complex immigration system. They are either forced to stay in Canada or leave the country. These migrants are even excluded from healthcare and social services. They are mostly underpaid in their jobs and suffer from poor mental and physical health caused by social isolation and abusive working environment. Lack of permanent resident status makes it difficult for them to speak up for their rights because of a fear of being evicted, terminated, or deported from Canada. The Migrant Rights Network estimates that regularizing 500,000 undocumented workers will increase employer contribution by $1.1 billion per year. IRCC has already confirmed that it is working on a new pathway for undocumented workers to become permanent residents. However, the Immigration Department has not yet disclosed what form that new pathway will take.
Becoming a permanent resident of Canada is a great achievement. I'm going to give you a quick understanding of what to expect once your application has been approved. If you're already in Canada once your application has been approved and you've received your COPR or your confirmation of permanent residence, you can now make an appointment at a nearby IRCC office where you'll be admitted to Canada as a permanent resident. You may also leave Canada and enter through a port of entry, such as an international airport or a Canadian land border, to receive your permanent resident status. Either way you choose, you must present your permanent resident visa, your passport, and proof that you have the funds to take care of yourself and family. An officer will check to ensure all of your documents are valid. As well, you'll be asked a few questions to make sure you are still eligible to immigrate to Canada. The questions will be similar to the ones you were asked when you first applied. The officer will also confirm your Canadian mailing address, and your permanent resident card will be mailed to you at this address. If you change your address within 180 days of getting your status, you must inform the IRCC or Immigration, Refugee, Citizenship Canada. Now, if you live outside of Canada when your permanent residence application was approved, you must provide the necessary travel information through the latest version of the ArriveCAN app. If you've previously submitted your information through the latest version of ArriveCAN, you must download the new version and resubmit your information. When you arrive in Canada, you'll be greeted by an officer from the CBSA, or Canada Border Service Agency. The officer will ask to see your passport and other travel documents. This is done to make sure that you are the same person who was approved to travel to Canada. They may also use your biometrics to do so. A quick reminder to save you some time. Be sure that all of your travel information, your passports, are not packed in your luggage, but rather you have them handy. When you arrive in Canada, you must have the following. 1. A valid passport and/or travel documents. Your passport must be a regular private passport. You cannot immigrate to Canada using a diplomatic, government service, or public affairs passport. 2. Your valid permanent resident visa. An officer will check that you're arriving before or on the date of expiry. Please note, this document cannot be extended, so be sure to use it before it expires. And lastly, proof that you have funds to support yourself and your family. An officer will ask you a few questions to make sure you are still eligible to travel to Canada. The questions will be similar to the ones you answered when you applied. It is important to say, you will not be allowed into Canada if you give false or incomplete information. After you complete your COPR, the officer will allow you into Canada as a permanent resident. The officer will also confirm your Canadian mailing address, and your permanent resident card will be mailed to you at this address. If you change your address within 180 days of arriving in Canada, you must notify the IRCC. Last note but not least, if you arrive in Canada with more than 10,000 Canadian dollars, you must notify the Canada Border Service Agency officer. If you do not, you risk being fined and your funds being seized. These funds can be in the form of cash, securities that belong to you like debentures, stocks, bonds, treasury bills, banker draft, checks, traveler checks, or money orders. Here at MyConsultant, we want to be sure you have all the necessary information to make Canada your new home.
The IRCC is updating the NOC system as per a recent report released by the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program. The IRCC plans on making the changes by November 16, 2022. The IRCC will be adding 16 occupations that will become eligible to apply under Express Entry System. and the 3 occupations that will become ineligible. This change by IRCC aims at making immigration system easier for applicants, as it will allow more people under different occupations to enter Canada through express entry system. Now let's understand what exactly is NOC and what role it plays in express entry system. NOC stands for National Occupation Classification. It is used to classify applicants' job to determine their eligibility for Canadian immigration programs. The NOC system breaks down all occupations into codes. These codes are then grouped together based on the type of work and the job duties that a person does. When applying to Canadian immigration programs, candidates must select the NOC code that best matches their job and the duties they perform in their job. The IRCC uses the NOC system to determine a candidate's eligibility for express entry. Now let's see which occupations will become eligible for express entry in November 2022. These are payroll administrators, dental assistants, nurse aides and patient service associates, pharmacy assistants, elementary and secondary school teacher assistants, sheriffs, correctional service officers, residential and commercial installers, pest controllers, other repairers and servicers, transport truck drivers, bus drivers, subway operators and other transit operators, heavy equipment operators, and aircraft assemblers and aircraft assembly inspectors. In addition, there are 3 occupations that will become ineligible for express entry, and these are other performers, program leaders and instructors in recreation, sport and fitness, tailors, dressmakers, furriers and milliners. People who fall under these ineligible occupations for express entry may not worry, because they can still apply for other programs such as provincial nominee programs. For more information, please visit Canada.ca.
That's all for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us.
If you really like today's video, then please support us by subscribing to our My Consultant YouTube channel.
For more information on the topics covered in today's episode, please be sure to check MyConsultant.ca, where you can contact an authorized immigration and citizenship consultant. I'm Tashina Thompson.
I am Tina Batra, and we'll see you next week.